Breaking down on KGW News at noon, the Portland Trail Blazers announced it's for sale. How much the team is valued and how the sales process will play out. Plus, potentially on the chopping block of a Republican tax bill, funding for SNAP benefits. Oregon Democrats sounding the alarm. And later, it's the first day of resentencing hearings in the Menendez brothers murder case. What's at stake in a 2-day legal battle? News at noon starts right now. Thanks for joining us at noon. I'm China Green. We have breaking news about the Portland Trail Blazers. Just a few hours ago, the Paul Allen estate announced that it is starting to sell the team. It's in the process right now. Evan Watson joins us in the studio with what this means for Blazers fans. Evan?
Yeah, China, we've known this has been in the works and coming for years. Paul Allen, the former owner, when he died in 2018, he directed his estate to sell the Blazers and donate the proceeds to philanthropy. But there wasn't a firm timeline until today. The Blazers say the formal sale process is now underway, and it's expected to continue into the next basketball season. Paul Allen bought the Blazers for $70 million in 1988. The franchise is now valued at around $3.6 billion. Eben Novy-Williams, deputy editor at Sportico, says he expects it might take around 10 months or so for this process to play out. With any sale, one of fans' biggest questions is, could new ownership move the team to another city? Novy-Williams tells KGW that he thinks that would be unlikely, as the NBA is already planning to expand in the next few years, and there's interest in owning a franchise on the West Coast.
There's a whole bunch of people that have known this was coming for a while, had prepped their bids, prepped their offers, and now we're going to see a fairly vibrant process to see who's going to be the next owner of the team. If I was a Trailblazers fan, I know it's a concern, but I wouldn't be particularly worried about this team packing up and moving.
Novy-Williams told me he expects the Blazers to sell for more than that market valuation of $3.6 billion, upwards of $4 billion or higher. The question's now, who are going to bid for the team? What are their plans for the Blazers, and how much would they invest in the roster? Nike founder Phil Knight offered to buy the Blazers in 2022 for $2 billion, but that was rejected. It's unclear if he'll be in the mix to resubmit a bid. China.
Evan Watson reporting live for us in the studio. Thank you, Evan. Be sure to stay with us. We will definitely have more on that at 4 o'clock. But in the meantime, check this out. A rare sight down in Eugene. Several people captured videos of a funnel cloud descending over the city yesterday afternoon. Rod Hill was one of the many people who predicted that. You were watching it happen.
Well, we predicted some thunderstorm opportunities, that's for sure. And when you get the instability and the convection, you can get those funnel clouds. That one very well defined, absolutely. Good news is that happened, the report came out at 5:10 from the Weather Service. It was about a mile or two away from the airport in Eugene. Zero reports of any high winds or severe weather, but certainly a sight to behold down there. Now, so far today, we've actually been dry here on the west side and very quiet and much more stable. There is no storm chance. We do have showers across eastern Oregon and Washington, and so far those have been lighter than many cases and what they were earlier this morning. But you folks out nearing the Idaho border still holding on to a thunderstorm chance where you could get some heavier showers popping later this afternoon. Pretty quiet though here on the west side. Here's the Astoria column camera. You see the clouds out over the Astoria Meckler Bridge. Well, depending on the angle, yeah, you can't really see breaks in cloud cover here either. That's from Willamette Valley Vineyards just south of Salem, and there's downtown. I do think we'll open up some sun breaks this afternoon, maybe not a lot. There's a shower threat in the forecast, but overall it's looking increasingly like we have a good chance to simply stay dry. I have today's high at 65. Forecast includes a couple of rain chances coming our way yet this week. That's coming up.
Thank you, Rod. Now to some more local headlines for you. We're learning more about the incident where a Clark County deputy stabbed and killed a man last week. We just learned about the man's identity and more details on how he died. So what we've learned is 54-year-old Mark Fogel from Clackamas was initially arrested on suspicion of DUI in a northeast Vancouver neighborhood. After Fogel was taken to a weigh station in Ridgefield to take a breath test, the sheriff's office says Fogel tried to take a deputy's gun. That deputy responded by stabbing Fogel several times. Reports from medical examiners show Fogel died from multiple stab wounds on the torso. The deputy is now on critical incident leave, which is standard protocol. And new at noon, a Lincoln City man was arrested after pulling a gun on another car which had children inside. This happened yesterday morning at the Walmart Supercenter in Newport. Officers say 68-year-old D. Helm argued with another driver over a driving complaint. Then Helm took a gun from his car and pointed it at the people in that other car. Now, at the time, there were 2 adults and 2 children, ages 2 and 10 months old, in the car. Luckily, no one was injured. Oregon governor and senators are speaking out against a Republican proposal in Washington, D.C. that will restrict the federal anti-hunger program known as SNAP. So House Republicans wrote out legislation last night, and it would require states to cover a portion of SNAP benefit costs and tighten eligibility requirements for the program.
I consider this an unforced error in terms of generating more hunger in America. It's an unforced error in denying health care.
Bottom line for me is these proposals, $300 billion, means that when Oregonians pay their federal tax dollars, those dollars are not going to be coming back to Oregon where they need it to help the citizens of Oregon.
According to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, more than 750,000 or 18% of Oregon's population received SNAP benefits in 2024. Happening today, the resentencing hearing of the Menendez brothers began in Los Angeles about 3 hours ago. NBC's Jay Gray is in L.A. with the latest.
Okay, let's break down what we expect over the next couple of days here and how all of this plays into a possible release for Eric and Lyle Menendez. Now, the brothers currently serving life sentences for the 1989 murders of their parents. The issue at the core of this 2-day hearing is whether they have been rehabilitated during their time in prison. Their lead attorney, Mark Garagos, will call 7 family members, volunteers, and experts as witnesses, outlining their remorse, rehabilitation, and positive work they've done behind bars.
The amount of introspection that they've done in the last 30 days is more than most people have done in the last 30 years. And there's a wisdom, there's a rehabilitation, there's a peace.
Now, prosecutors are expected to reference a comprehensive risk assessment ordered by California Governor Gavin Newsom, which reportedly indicates Lyle Menendez has narcissistic tendencies, while Eric can be easily influenced by others. The report apparently also outlines multiple prison rules violations by the brothers. If the court recommends resentencing, the parole board would then determine if they should be released. Governor Newsom also considering clemency in this case. On June 13th, both Eric and Lyle Menendez will independently have their final hearing on that clemency, and a report will be submitted for Governor Newsom, who will determine if they should be released. That's the latest right now from the courthouse. I'm Jay Gray, NBC News.
Back here locally, the Oregon special election is 1 week away. And one of the biggest issues on the ballot for Portland voters is a $1.8 billion bond measure for Portland Public School. Catherine Cook has the update.
It's a $1.83 billion ask, and a lot of people living within Portland Public School boundaries support the PPS school bond renewal.
I voted for it because I just think investing in kids' education is like one of the most important things there is, really.
There's just so many issues that even though it's going to cost money, we feel like it's super important to support the schools. So we will be doing that.
At the same time, PPS has taken heat for lack of clarity and transparency when it comes to exactly how they'll spend the money. There is a general breakdown, with the largest chunk, $1.15 billion, going to rebuild and modernize 3 high schools, Cleveland, Ida B. Wells, and Jefferson. But critics argue building large schools amid declining enrollment doesn't make sense. Late last month, the Oregonian's editorial board offered support for the bond renewal, but noted they felt backed into a corner, saying the district was, quote, basically asking voters to trust PPS and the school board to do the right thing, considering bumbling of previous projects, including lowballed estimates and construction delays. That is asking a lot.
There's problems with not being ready for earthquakes. There's just so many issues.
The editorial board also called on school board members to clarify how they'd increase spending on the district's aging elementary and middle schools, especially for seismic upgrades. And the district listened.
Resolution 7109, the urgent need for seismic retrofitting of high-risk school buildings.
Last week, the school board passed a bond resolution allocating an additional $100 million toward a reserve fund for seismic retrofits.
Because I think it's a concern for all of our buildings in Portland.
And with that greater clarity from PPS, the Oregonian's editorial board just changed their support for the bond measure to a strong yes.
We did put things in place for accountability and for transparency.
Parents appreciate that too.
I think transparency has been an issue in the past, and I think it's really important if you want community buy-in to be really transparent with that, or it's going to be hard to pass.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.